Paul McCartney has a surprising amount of mysteries associated with him, the most famous of which being that he actually died in 1966 in a car crash and was replaced with a body double. But I won't get into that right now, my tinfoil hat's in the wash. A definitely real mystery surrounding McCartney though is the incredible vanishing bass guitar. This is probably one of the most significant bass guitars in the world, and it's been missing since 1969, presumably stolen, without a single sighting or mere idea of where it could be. We'll go through the significance of this bass guitar, the mystery of its disappearance, and stay until the end of this video as I'll tell you about the latest lead of its whereabouts. Hi, I'm Adam, welcome back to Music Mongoose. The bass in question is a Hofner 501 violin bass. Look at those sexy curves. He purchased it in the spring of 1961 in Hamburg at the Steinway Music House, his first ever bass guitar. He bought the bass in the first place because the previous bassist, Stuart Sutcliffe, left the Beatles in that year. So Paul was shuffled from second guitarist to bassist of the band. At the time, Paul wasn't able to stretch his budget to anything too fancy. I couldn't afford a Fender, so for about £30, I found this Hofner violin bass. He particularly enjoyed its symmetry, being famously a lefty, noting it could be played by a right-handed or left-handed bassist without a cutaway being on the wrong end. A victory for the lefties and budget bass guitars. Nice one, Hofner. This bass was put to serious work by McCartney in the Beatles' early tours and recordings. It appears on the albums Please Please Me and With the Beatles. It's heard on She Loves You, Twist and Shout, and a bunch of other early Beatles hits. It was also used in early 1969 in the Let It Be recordings. So yeah, this bass is pretty historically significant. And sexy, look at those curves. In 1963, Hofner, very happy with Paul McCartney's use of the bass guitar, putting the company on the musical map, gifted him with an updated version of the violin bass. This 63 bass was used for the rest of the Beatles' career and is actually still used by McCartney today. 60 years old and still going strong. The original 61 bass was relegated to backup. Aww. It did see the light of day again beyond that though. Paul whacked it out for a promotional video of Revolution in 1968, and you can see it being used by Macca in both Michael Lindsay Hogg's and Peter Jackson's documentaries of the Let It Be recordings. This was sadly the last time it would be seen. Very soon after the Let It Be sessions, sometime in 1969, a heinous crime occurred. A locker in the basement of Abbey Road Studios, or EMI Studios as it was known then, in which the bass guitar was stored, was raided. The bass guitar, along with a few other Beatles bits and bobs, like George Harrison's Gretsch Tennessean and his second Rickenbacker 36012, was pinched. Some sources say this was likely due to the chaotic comings and goings at EMI Studios. There didn't seem to be any formal process for signing in or out, and the studios could turn into a 24-hour party at times, according to a former anonymous staff member. This is likely how the assailant was able to simply walk out the front door with the bass guitar, slipping quietly past the other people in the building, probably passed out from a drug and booze-fueled night. The guitar was gone, vanished, and since that day, it's not been seen or heard from again. Where the bloody flipping heck did it go though? There are a multitude of rumours that flew about concerning its location. Probably the same people who believe Paul died in 1966 and was replaced by a body double. Some believe that the film crews employed to film the Let It Be sessions nabbed it from the EMI Studios. It makes sense really, they would have constantly been moving cases and equipment in and out the building on a daily basis. Someone could have easily hidden it amongst it all and slipped out unnoticed. Some believe it was buried with the real Paul McCartney who died in 1966. Jono0521 on Reddit says, I have it, lol. Some believe it was sold to an unsuspecting buyer and it sits in an attic or basement somewhere. Some believe it was destroyed after the guilt got too much for the thief. And some believe it sits in a monstrous guitar collection owned by an eccentric billionaire in a secret base somewhere. Wherever it is, some people really want it returned to the owner. Nick Wass, marketing manager at Hofner, started the campaign #TraceTheBass, hoping by using the power of the internet, the bass could be tracked down and could get back to where it once belonged. He's serious about it too. In a statement, he explained, "We would handle any information in total confidence. We do not need to know your identity if you prefer. We can collect the bass from anywhere. Total anonymity, no recriminations, no question of the authorities being involved." Despite these promises, nothing has come to fruition and the bass is still very much missing. However, in 2016, an intriguing lead popped up. claiming the instrument could be somewhere in Ottawa, Canada. Could this be the answer to the mystery we've all been waiting for? This all came about when a new biography was released, Paul McCartney, The Life by Philip Norman. Philip Norman, a prolific author, novelist, journalist and playwright, has written biographies for the likes of Mick Jagger, Eric Clapton, Elton John and John Lennon. In his McCartney biography, he suggests information came to him from a trusted source, a Liverpool taxi driver named Peter Hodgson. Tinfoil hats at the ready, we're going in. Hodgson, whose family lived near the McCartney family for years, has taken it upon himself to track down this bass guitar. Taxi driver by day, detective by night. He reckons he's tracked it down to someone in Ottawa who calls himself The Keeper, a Beatles fanatic. Is this tinfoil hat on properly? Philip did pass on this information to McCartney himself, who seemed entertained but skeptical about the idea. They met at a concert in Liverpool, and after revealing this information, McCartney responded with a derisive laugh, almost shrugging off the idea. However, as outlined in the biography, Paul's team were quick to take details about the lead to see where it might go. It led to an email exchange between Post Media, a Canadian media conglomerate keen to squeeze out the truth of this Ottawa conspiracy, and Stuart Bell, the media spokesperson for McCartney. The last of the correspondence consists of Stuart Bell simply stating, "We'll see if I can find anything out." Whether this was a polite email shrugging off the entire notion or a genuine suggestion of investigation is still to be seen. As of yet, the elusive Keeper has not been found, and the bass guitar is still very much missing. If you ask me, it's obvious. When the real Paul McCartney died in that car crash, the bass must have been damaged as well, rendering it useless. So McCartney got a body double, and the bass got a replica too. It's simple if you think about it. Where do you think the bass guitar is? Let me know in the comments. And speaking of weird mysteries and conspiracies, did you know Fleetwood Mac was once replaced on tour by a fake band? Click the video on screen for that one. I'll catch you next time on Music Mongoose.